In this video, I'm going to talk about what is happening with Russell Brand after criminal proceedings were started against him. And before you all go after me in the comments, this is a criminal law channel where I talk about high-profile cases in England and Wales, of which this is clearly one. Now, to recap, a Channel 4 Dispatches documentary which aired on the 16th of September 2023, following an investigation by them and the Sunday Times and the Times, made numerous allegations of rape and sexual assault and other emotional abuse committed by actor and comedian Russell Brand. Russell Brand made a strong denial of any wrongdoing in a video he released on his own YouTube channel prior to the airing of that documentary. And I've put a link in the description if you want to have a look at what he said in that video. But in essence, he stated that this was a coordinated attack on him by the mainstream media. And whilst he admitted that he had what he termed a promiscuous past, he denied any non-consensual sexual relations and highlighted that there were witnesses who could directly contradict that with which he was being accused of. Since the airing of the documentary, a number of complainants have come forward to make fresh allegations against him, and he is now under criminal investigation by two UK police forces, the Metropolitan Police and Thames Valley Police. YouTube has also cut off his ad revenue from his YouTube channel, which consistently pulls in more than 500,000 viewers per video and continues to do so in spite of the allegations against him. So is this a mainstream media smear campaign given Russell Brand's stance on things like the COVID-19 vaccine, or is there more to it than that? Well, in this video I'm going to go through what we know, explain the engagement that Russell Brand has had with the police, and outline what the process is for bringing any potential charges against him. Now, as it stands, he has not been charged with any criminal offence, and he is not subjected to any conditions or restriction, and he is not on bail. And I should say at the outset that I know there are some very strong opinions in relation to these allegations against Russell Brand. I try to be as balanced as I can in my videos by outlining what has happened, but in terms of Russell Brand's side of the story, since his denial video and a brief address at one of his stand-up gigs, he has remained completely silent on the issue. Now, this is perfectly normal in criminal cases and does not imply innocence or guilt on his part. My main focus in this video is to explain some of the law behind aspects of the investigation, and I make no assessment on his guilt or innocence, as that is not for me to determine. With that being said, let's get into the video. So following the allegations being aired in the documentary, the Metropolitan Police announced that they were formally investigating a separate allegation of sexual assault from 2003. The Metropolitan Police stated at the time that they had received a report of sexual assault, which was alleged to have taken place in Soho in London in 2003, and that officers were in contact with a woman and would be providing her with support. Separate to this, Thames Valley Police stated they were also looking into allegations of harassment and stalking, and this allegation related to 2017 and had been previously reported to the police between 2018 and 2022, with no action taken at the time. Following the announcement of these investigations, Russell Brand was interviewed on the 16th of September 2023 under caution in relation to 3 non-recent sexual offences. Now, the interview was what is known as a voluntary police interview. Now, usually as part of an investigation into a criminal offence, the police will arrest a suspect and they will be interviewed under caution once or several times during their period in custody. They do not have a choice as to whether they attend that interview, but they can choose to answer no comment or even just stay silent. The difference between a police interview following an arrest and a voluntary police interview is twofold. Firstly, the individual the police wish to interview has a choice as to whether they comply or refuse to be interviewed. If they do refuse, then the police might decide to arrest that individual, but they may not wish to arrest someone at this stage of the investigation. And secondly, during the voluntary police interview, if at any point the person being interviewed decides they want to stop the interview, get up and leave, then they are free to do so. Again, the police may decide to arrest that person at that point if they feel they have sufficient evidence to do so. Both a police interview following an arrest and a voluntary police interview are under caution. What that means is that the police will caution them before commencing the interview, which is to say you do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Russell Brand has cooperated with the investigation as he has agreed on 2 occasions to be voluntarily interviewed by the police. On the first occasion, on the 16th of November 2023, as I stated a moment ago, he was interviewed in relation to 3 non-recent sexual offences. On the second occasion, he was interviewed in relation to a further 6 non-recent sexual offences. Now, he had the right to be legally represented at those interviews and was free to answer questions or answer no comment. As to what will happen now, well, the police will continue to investigate these offences, and when they conclude their investigation, if they feel there is sufficient evidence, then they will forward the case to the Crown Prosecution Service to make a decision on whether any charge or charges will be brought. The Crown Prosecution Service will then apply what is known as the full code test. This is a 2-part test used to determine whether a charge will be brought. The first part is what is known as the evidential stage, and you can see it on the screen in front of you. In the first part, it states that prosecutors must be satisfied that there is enough evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction. And in the second part of what is on the screen, it outlines what a realistic prospect of conviction is. In essence, it is whether or not a jury, magistrate or judge would be more likely than not to convict on the evidence. And what you'll notice is that the test here is different to the test in the court, where a jury must be sure. So at this stage, they're only asking whether there is a realistic prospect of conviction. They're not asking the question of whether or not a jury or judge would convict. If it passes the evidential stage, then a prosecutor will go on to consider the second part of the test, which is the public interest stage, which again I've put on the screen for you. The question that the prosecutor is looking to answer here is whether a prosecution is in the public interest, and in the overwhelming majority of cases, it will generally pass the public interest stage if it passes the evidential stage. One of the examples of where it might not pass the public interest stage is where a person aged 90 is accused of careless driving, and it passes the evidential stage, but they have agreed to give up their licence. It might be in those circumstances that a prosecution is no longer in the public interest, because all that's likely to happen is they lose their licence anyway. And as you might expect, if both parts of the test are met, then a charge or charges will be laid against an individual. If either part of the test is not met, then a charge for that specific instance will not be brought by the Crown Prosecution Service. And as it stands in the case of Russell Brand, it appears the police are not yet near to the point in which they'll be asking the Crown Prosecution Service to consider the evidence, given that all they've done in this case is interview Russell Brand voluntarily on 2 occasions. That's all for this video. If you do have any comments, then please drop them down below. If you did enjoy this video, then please do give it a like. And if you'd like to see more from me, then please do subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Take care.